Hi, everybody. So Kelly and I are here together today, and we're going to talk about the new moon. And remember the new moon. So we're going into a new thing, a new cycle, and astrology is helping us all the time. So remember that. But I feel like there's going to be a lot of big changes and shakeups, and we're seeing them already. But I feel like our inner child or our inner children, our
Mm.
human self, is about ready to embrace change. So that's going to be huge because everything starts with us. So if you can talk to your inner child, you can encourage them. You can say, listen, I'm going to hold on to your back. We're going to make sure that you have me at your back to guard you, to take care of you as we go through this big adventure of ascension. That will really help as we go through this. So think about that a little bit because the inner child, the human consciousness, is the whole purpose of why we're here. So most of us, it's the big soul talking a lot of the time, and that inner child is ascending. That's who we're ascending out of this density. So think about that. Think about how you can encourage your inner child to be ready and excited about this adventure that we're about to go on. So tell us, Kelley, what is in store for us?
Tell us. New moon. The new
Yeah.
moon, it is. It's a new cycle and it's in Virgo. We're in Virgo now. So
Mm,
I love Virgo. It's a pretty misunderstood sign, I think a lot. It's an earth sign. And look, this is one a typical image in the star maps of Virgo. So she often is seen with angel wings, and yet
mhm,
she's an earth goddess. And often she's seen holding a sheaf of wheat or corn or whatever because she's related to the grain goddess. And there she is in the sky. I think I just love this image of her
mhm.
with all these things around her. Look at the crow over there. The crow, there's the crow
Awesome.
standing on a snake, and here's a goblet. Um, there's some dogs. Who is this? I forget who that is. And there's Libra. That's a kind of representative there. And this is Leo. So there she is in her beauty. And Virgo, as an earth sign, is the one most connected, most intimate with nature and the rhythm of the seasons and how our bodies are part of nature. And she's a beautifully sensual sign because she's about all the details that nature puts in there that are so beautiful and special and such variety. And it is one of the signs that is a changeable, responsive, mutable sign. So there's Virgo. And often people know a Virgo as, perfectionistic and a little workaholic. And yes, it can be because Virgo wants to be of service, and there's always something else that needs to be done, but it's in the rhythm of the seasons. We don't want the neurotic side of Virgo that our modern day world with its clock time and everything, with the busy workaday world, that can get us pretty neurotic in relation to Virgo, and it can challenge our bodies because Virgo is the sign most aware of the body's resonance with the natural rhythms and how we need to follow our own rhythms and listen to our bodies, which have organic wisdom in every cell. So this is some of the meaning of Virgo that we need to take into account, this month. And we're several days into it. So here's the new moon on September 2nd. So as usual, I'm showing you some of the patterns in the whole circle of astrology. And there's the new moon in Virgo at 11 Virgo. or when we use the Sabian symbols that give us an image for each of the 360 degrees of the zodiac, we round up. So this is the new moon at 12 Virgo. And here's an interesting image, a bride with her veil snatched away. Now, Virgo can be very demure and, kind of step back. She doesn't need a lot of attention. But there's something being revealed. Her mystery is being revealed. So there's something about, what do you get from that image? It's, honey,
I feel like the veil is going to get removed more. And
there, exactly.
yeah. Hmm.
There
So
it is. Quite, quite evident on the new moon, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
so good.
Now, this new moon, here's the pattern that we're going to look at with the red lines here. So the new moon in Virgo is opposite. That means it's creating a polarity with the sign of Pisces. Saturn is in Pisces, and Saturn is what our job is right now. Saturn is the task at hand, and Virgo is very much about the task at hand. So it's saying there's something we have to take responsibility for. We can't space out too much. We kind of have to stay common sense, feet on the ground, and move with the pace that changes are moving with, and to keep our energy really clear. So we have Saturn in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces as well, and they're both retrograde. And I've mentioned this, I think, last time, when these are both retrograde in Pisces and they're going back over and they're saying, okay, you're not ready to step forward yet until we clean some things up. Got to clean up our energy field. We've got to dispel any fear or anxiety. We've got some toxins to clear out still. So Saturn's giving us a little more time to do this. And this is a good moon cycle in which to work on this. So it's saying that until, again, listen to our bodies, which have this instinctive wisdom, that gut intelligence that we talk about, that is so important for our basic well-being. So Saturn's keeping us on track, although we do need to rest. We need to go with the flow with Pisces. And then we have the Saturn and we have the Neptune there as well. So these are both interacting with two planets in Gemini. So this new moon has the Saturn, and we'll stick with this one for now. This is Jupiter. So Jupiter is our belief systems. It's our philosophy. In Gemini, it tends to be like open-minded, all kinds of new information coming up. And sometimes that feels a little overwhelming. And sometimes Saturn says, I'm not going to listen to that. I got enough. I'm overwhelmed. This is too much. I can't handle it all. And so there's that part of it. And there can also be the belief systems. The veil is getting stripped away. So the truth is being revealed, and it's coming out in all sorts of ways that can be bombarding us. And we're going to see more evidence of that in this moon pattern as well. And one of those indications is Neptune, which sometimes likes to keep that veil on. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to see it. Don't tell me about this. But there's Neptune, which is working on the inner levels to fine tune the spiritual frequencies. And if we can focus on those, because Saturn likes to focus. So let's focus on those. And then that can help our energy and any feeling of overwhelm, because Neptune and Mars are interacting. Mars is the action planet. So we can get distracted all over the place. sometimes, like happened to me last week, I went out and I was going to a cafe, and there was a roadblock on the road. And I waited to get through that roadblock. And then I got to the cafe, and the cafe had changed its hours and it was closed. So I had to go back through the roadblock and go to a different cafe. And I was so flustered that I basically had to go home. So it was, how much can you handle? And apparently I wasn't ready for too much change at that moment, partly because of this fine tuning of the energy and that need to take care of the inner child and not get exposed to too many influences which are distracting or disturbing. So, this is kind of delicate energy, let us say.
Mhm.
And one of the things that can help us is if we keep our goal in mind, if we have a goal, if we kind of keep our sense of direction clear. It's hard when there are roadblocks. You've got to find a different way to go. But so this is a lot of variety, a lot of different things happening, and how to kind of just keep calm. And there's that listen to your body, and just take your time. So that's part of, kind of staying in your own rhythm, which these rhythms are changing because there's so much energy coming in. So we've got to take that into account, that, we can't operate in the same ways that we were. We need to kind of find our flow and be careful with what we're taking on and not fall back into old routines, just, as a kind of reactivity. Because we can get flustered and even a bit angry with that Mars there.
Mhm.
But the positive side is um, the spiritual, like a spiritual anchor. We need to hold on to our spiritual anchor, and that's the influence of Neptune here. So yeah, now I've got some blue lines here, which are planets that are like, these are grace notes. These are planets that are like really working together. And one interesting thing about this is these blue lines all have to do with the outer planets: Uranus in Taurus, Neptune in Pisces, and Pluto that's just gone back into Capricorn as of this new moon to finish up some old business. And all of these planets, Uranus just went retrograde. That's the going backwards factor, going back over what we've already been through and making sure, we have enough time to kind of work things through. And this is collective consciousness energy. So Pluto is retrograde back in Capricorn, where it wants to take down the old systems that aren't working. So more of that is going to be happening, which again can be part of the getting all flustered. It's like, oh, things aren't working, so just like stay as calm as possible, see if you can find a workaround, and what is working. And that's Saturn's question: what's working and what's not? Basically, we can't count on things being as efficient and functional as we're used to because there's so much changing. And we want that change because those old systems aren't basically even healthy, or they're just falling apart anyway.
Mhm.
So that's part of the meaning of all that. And Neptune is retrograde, kind of going back over and keeping, kind of, it's like filtering water that's polluted. It's like a water filter system. And that's our own bodies. And then
Mhm.
Uranus just went retrograde in Taurus. So it's going back over things too. And it's working really well with Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn and Earth sign, Uranus in Taurus and Earth sign. This is like on the ground stuff and how it's changing. And it's been preparing and it's been changing. And when we get to the full moon, this is going to be much more there's going to be a beautiful triangle with Earth that's going to be, things are operating much better even 2 weeks from now because we're getting the drift of what is going on. So this is, kind of be flexible because we're going to need a lot of flexibility. And just keep breathing. That's Gemini is an air sign. Just keep breathing. Kind of just take care of your nervous system, kind of just breathe and, work out any ruffled feathers, calm yourself. So that's part of what this basic pattern is representing. And stay open to, like, keep vigilant, because things are changing and sometimes pretty quickly. And another sort of like warning is to be careful of the words you're using. Be careful of how you're talking to yourself. Now, Virgo can be a little self-critical, can look for what's going wrong instead of right. So we want to like be encouraging. We want to have a positive take on that. And that's watching your mental facility here. Now, Mercury's been retrograde, but it's going forward now. So we're moving forward. And the pace is going to be pretty quick. And things are going to come out of the blue. So this is, part of what this moon represents. So, any comments on this last
I just
little?
think it's really fun. And remember that all these planets are they're players, they're beings. So they're doing their part to help us through all this stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
And I can see so many timelines are going to shift
Oh
during this
gosh.
new moon.
Yes, and there are going to be a lot of
Yeah,
options. That's one of
right.
Gemini's thing. And Jupiter is like a lot. There's going to be a lot.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at these patterns that I'm showing you, the red lines are activation lines. We got to
Mhm.
step up. This is what we're working on. Things are changing. We got to work with it. The
Yep.
blue lines are where the planets are really supporting each other. And this beautiful alignment of Pluto and Neptune and Uranus, all so close to the end of the signs they're in, getting ready for even a bigger shift next year into 2026. This is all the planets that represent different levels of collective consciousness shift are all really syncing up right now. So this is all working in a really positive way that, we're reworking. They're all retrograde. We're going back over things. We're getting the drift. We're getting it together kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, before we're ready to, take off, so to speak.
Hmm.
Which in part will be on November 11th when Pluto goes back into Aquarius. And then we're in it for the next 20 years. So we're just, it's like cleaning a closet and we're getting the last stuff out of the back corners and the hidden shelves, and we're dusting things off and just really cleaning it up. So we do that personally and we're doing it collectively.
So good.
So another pattern that has been a bit ongoing has to do with the dragon head and the dragon tail, which is the destiny line of the collective consciousness at the moment. These are also called these little like horseshoes are also called the south node and the north node. because it's where the path of the moon crosses the path of the sun, either going northerly or southerly on opposite sides of the sky. And these are where eclipses happen. Now, the next full moon is an eclipse. We're going into eclipse season. So this means the dragon is getting very activated. And so when we have planets on the dragon head or the dragon tail, it's very meaningful and gives us more information about the quality of this time in our collective destiny. So the dragon tail is where we've been and what's coming through that is going to help us move forward. We don't want to dwell here. So it can have a negative take, but on the other hand, it can have a really positive take. And this is really interesting because the dragon tail is conjunct Venus, the goddess of love and relationship. And this is her own sign. So she's very powerful here. And she's visible in the evening sky as the goddess of love, the evening star. And she's exactly conjunct at 5 degrees Libra. The closer the numbers, the more potent. And this is the black moon, often called Lilith, but it's a soul energy that is being called for. So it's Libra's a sign of relationship. So having the goddess of love and the soul essence together is, for one thing, suggesting that we're meeting up with our soul groups, our soulmates. And these relationships are deepening. Certain relationships are deepening, and certain ones are just not fitting us anymore, especially if we are accommodating or trying to please other people and getting out of balance with ourselves. We're coming, up to the equinox, which is at the annual balance point, and Libra is the sign of the scales of the balance. So I want to use that fine tuning term again, because it's about fine tuning in relationships and deepening certain qualities in certain relationships, and other ones will feel like we're just heading off on different timelines, or we're making different choices. And so there's a change of relational dynamics. And that's helping us on this with the dragon head, which is where we want to be, where the leading edge of change and a bit of challenges is in the sign of Aries. And Aries is fire. It's about clarity. It's about being in your centered self. And then you can find those relationships that match your clarity and your energy. And it's being yourself, not coming from a false sense of yourself, but coming from the soul essence in yourself, that we are deepening the relationship within ourselves as well. We're getting to know ourselves on another level that's more soul essence. So that's changing the quality of our relationships as we are getting more and more clear with ourselves. And here's another factor that is right on the dragon head, Salacia. Some people say Salacia, and she's out past Pluto in the Kuiper belt. And this is the realm, the new realm of discovery, that is the kind of quantum energy of being co-creators. So Salacia is the goddess who makes the sunlight sparkle on the sea. So here's an image of her. So she's coming through these cosmic light waves, through the waves of plasma that are coming into our system, And then she's translating that, into our lives. And there's the sunlight sparkling on the sea, but it's more than just that. Our bodies are made of water, so we're having sparkles in our bloodstreams and in our inner plasma and in the waters in our body. So this light is just flowing through, and Salacia is part of that. So as we're welcoming that and attuning to the light that's increasing, that's part of the challenge, and the increasing clarity with ourselves that's being kind of demanded in a way, but in a good way. It's an
Mhm.
invitation. It's like, okay, everybody, you can do this. So, so there she is. So that's the leading edge of consciousness right now. This light energy coming in and rising to it. And then the challenge, and we've looked at this before because Ceres, Ceres, has been in Capricorn for a while here, in a dynamic activation with the destiny line. And it's very close. She's at 7. The destiny line is at 6, 6, and Venus and the black moon are there as well. So Ceres is the goddess of the grain. She feeds the people, body and soul. She's in the sign of Capricorn, which is an earth sign, very much about the productivity of the earth and things like farming, food production, and the quality of food production that we're becoming more aware of. And that's part of the system that has to be changed, is to address the Ceres energy, because she wants well-being for all creatures on the earth. And so she's holding in here saying, this, you've got to look at this. You've got to look at this. This is one of the key issues that is needing to be addressed. So let's see, I have it. Let me get the graphic of Ceres, because I live in Vermont and Ceres is on the golden dome on our state house building. So,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's that, yeah, and there she is. Yeah, the statue, there were 2 statues that rotted, and we have a third statue now as of just a few years ago. So there's the new one. I took a picture of this as she was being carved and finished, and she's got this golden band on her head with a star. And this is actually a lightning rod, like that can channel lightning when it comes down. So it doesn't, kind of blast things away. So I love that about her. And there
Mhm.
she's, holding some grain. And she's just got this beautiful grandmother, godmother calmness. And that's partly also because she's in Capricorn right now, which is like the maturity of experience and wisdom, and how the land and has been, how it knows how to grow things. And we don't want to poison the land anymore.
Mhm.
We want to bring up small farms. We want the animal husbandry in a positive way. And she's got a mythology that also has to do with children, and with her daughter in particular. There's that famous myth where Persephone got taken to the underworld by Pluto, and
Oh,
Ceres is Demeter, the mother, in that myth. So there's something also about the well-being of generations to come that's important for Ceres, and for attending to the challenge that she is in right now. So looking at this one more time, we see how Ceres is really activating the destiny line. And this is going to continue for a while longer. And interestingly, this is a kind of pattern that it's like it has three legs. It's like a chair that wobbles because the fourth leg is missing. And the fourth leg would be over here in the sign of Cancer. And there's nothing there right now. But on the next full moon, Mars is going to be right there at 7 degrees. Mars is going to be filling that in. So this full moon is going to bring a lot of things to fruition. We're going to see a lot of results even by the full moon, and a further activation that plays out for the waning moon, until the next new moon. And again, this next full moon is an eclipse, not a major, obvious dramatic eclipse, but it's an eclipse that do change the energies. So there we've got that.
Wow.
Any comments on this part of things?
Yeah, I think the dragon energy is going to come in through the eclipse. And that's
Yeah.
going to create even more sovereignty for humanity. And some of the dragon souls will come into human bodies. So basically, there's many kinds of NPCs, and one of those kinds is a human being, like just the human consciousness, without a big soul that's guiding. So some of those dragons are going to come in and become guides. And those people are going to become extremely strong when that happens. And it's going to create a lot of change, it feels like, and like a ripple effect. And the Mars thing, that feels really good too, because it feels like that's going to instigate small business. So that's going to
Excellent.
help. Yeah.
Excellent thought there. Yeah, the Cancer is a sign of home and family. So it's like small family businesses sort of thing and small family farms sort of thing. And, creating a kind of sense of home and community. And it goes back to also children. So yeah, that's an interesting comment you made there. So I had another thought that just went out the window, but the dragons. So the nodes of the moon are called the dragons, and there's a whole mythology, about how that all happened, and that the dragon got cut in half because he was too greedy. So now there's the tail and the head, and it's partly these nodes of the moon denote where eclipses are happening. So we're going to
Okay.
have the next new moon is going to be an eclipse as well, because there are always two at the same time, and sometimes three. So
Oh,
that's yeah, the dragon energy is, they talk about the dragon lines, right? In the ground, the power in the ground. And I've
okay.
heard that some of those dragon lines are moving in this evolution of the earth time. So
Mhm.
interesting all there. So let's see. There's Salacia, there's Ceres, and this is a couple of extra little things I just have to mention because they're sort of big. So um now every sign has a planet that rules it. So the ruler of Virgo traditionally is Mercury. And Mercury also rules Gemini. So Mercury has a lot of say on this new moon cycle. And there's Mercury in Leo. We've had Mercury retrograde, for about 3 weeks, but by this new moon, it's moving forward. And it's in Leo, a creative sign. And it's about expressing and creating. And Mercury is in a red dynamic activation line with Uranus. And this is like all of the new information that's coming out. Mercury was retrograde and it was digging it out. And now it's going to be out there. There is like so much radical information going to be coming out under this moon cycle. And that's again where we need to kind of stay centered and open minded enough even when our belief systems are being challenged, it's like, oh, thank you for exposing one of my belief systems that is limiting me, kind of thing. So open-minded, give it a listen, don't be too reactive. A lot of people get very reactive and are likely to because of that Uranus, that this is too much change at once. I can't handle it. This is like, my whole life is based on these beliefs and I just can't deal, kind of thing. So this is a lot of news coming out and all kinds of information that is Uranus, shocking, surprising, awakening, like unusual. Some of it's going to be wonderful, and some of it's going to be, whoa,
Right.
whoa. So that's Mercury. Now, on the other hand, Mercury is in a nice supportive blue line with Chiron. And you mentioned earlier how the healing is taking place. And some of this information is really going to help us. There's going to be perhaps information coming out about some new healing modalities, the frequency stuff. So part of it might have to do with that, but it's also just the sense of freedom that we can express ourselves. That is part of the healing, and that the love energy is increasing so that we're accepting ourselves and loving ourselves more than ever. As Leo rules the heart, and it's been circling, we've been having Leo energy on and off, this Mercury retrograde, very much about that. So so there's a lot of creativity, this is the playfulness of the inner child, and that is very healing, and that's kind of what you were talking about earlier.
Mhm.
So there's that dynamic, but also the healing quality that goes to that, because there's something in you that knows that's either true or not true. And if you can't accept the truth, then your body's going to be uncomfortable.
Right.
You've got to listen to yourself. So that is one of the lines. And then Ceres, which we've just been talking about, is in a very positive line with this new moon, with the earth energy. So this is a very positive line, and very helpful to this moon. This series has an activation that's challenging, but at the same time, very grounded, very appropriate. It's, the sovereignty, as you were talking about. It's like when we feel that kind of mature, defined quality within us that can't be shaken, that
Mhm.
is part of uh, how people have lived on the earth for a long time. That is part of what Capricorn offers, and Virgo's feeling that connection to nature and tradition of living on the earth. So that that something could be revealed about that as well.
Yeah.
So look at all the blue lines. There are all these blue lines making really good connections with each other, even though we're having these pretty dynamic patterns that are challenging. There's a lot of smooth flow and help behind it all.
Mhm.
So
Very good.
that's about it. Um,
Love
I
it.
just put them together because they're working together. Ceres and Salacia are working together. So the
Mhm.
light's coming in and helping the earth with her evolutionary process and her, I don't know if I want to say recovery, but in a way, yes. She's recovering, we are recovering. And
Mhm.
re is a word that goes along with retrograde. We're going back to. the tradition. We're going back to harmony with the earth. We're going back to the well-being for all. Ceres is often an advocate for those that are not being taken care of in the umbrella of wellness and the common good.
Mhm.
So that's part of the activation here. And we've got some activations going on with uh, getting more information out there about what's been going on and what we need to do in terms of changing the systems that are in charge. And that's the last cleanup phase of Pluto and Capricorn.
Love it. Love it.
Mm.
Yeah, this is beautiful. So I have a few comments about astrology and why I love it. So it's always come in that astrology is either a map or a clock. It depends on what you're doing with it. So it's either a map or a clock, and we know that we're transversing timelines constantly. So astrology is also morphing in order to give us
Mm.
information about what we're doing. So it's like a map in the game of Earth, right? So it's really cool to be able to have you, Kelley, go in and describe everything because it's showing us what the souls are intending to do next. Because the souls are the players in the astral plane and they're creating this like platform so that we can ascend, so that we can ascend the humanity. And I feel like it's getting more and more fun as we go because we're understanding what's happening better. And I just love that, you can describe all that stuff because I can describe what's coming, and the feelings and everything, but it's cool to have all the players because the planets are in on this and they're
Absolutely.
beings. Yeah, so the stars are in on it, the planets, and now the ones that are more in the outer realm, which is what's happening for Earth, because Earth she's the biggest player here, if you think about it, because she's a player, but she's also the board. So she's also carrying all of this energy and she's also getting rid of a lot of energy that's old. So the old energy that we don't want anymore that had to do with maybe Egypt or Rome or Atlantis or, whatever. So she's cleaning all that up and we're helping her.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But we're going through all of this stuff for a reason. And the reason is to let go of the veil. So it was really cool that the veil was in there. And, just look
Getting
at it
close
as
to it.
yeah, it's like a nice little, so here's what's happening next, like so you can get more comfortable with
Yeah.
change. So I love it. It's a
So
lot
we
of
could
fun.
see the beautiful bride when she takes her veil off,
Yeah,
and we are seeing how Earth is being beautified as we are as she is cleaning up and making us clean up. And Ceres is
yes,
also like the layers of Earth that include the history, include the memories of the Earth. So where there is, like trauma memories, that stuff has been coming out in different parts of the world. We obviously see that. And
oh
so
yeah,
that's part of the nature of Ceres and the earth energy as well, because she's has to do with those layers and what has happened. Like the Australians talk about song lines, and they're not the only, kind of tribal peoples or indigenous peoples that have that kind of history of the land and the memory of that we're that's coming up both in its necessity for healing and for its positive power of renewal at the same time.
Yeah, I just, it's so good, and everybody's going to be able to come together, and some things will stay. So some of like the Native American things will stay, the Aborigine things will stay. They will be considered to be, you know, like amazing parts of history that we're still going to use because they still have memory of before too. But some of those traditions will go with all the people, you know, here because they no longer
Mm.
serve us in the fifth density. So it's just going to be a lot of fun to go on this adventure. But I think it's helpful to do the astrology because you have preview of what's coming. Like, you know,
Yeah, there are these
have this,
energies that we're
yeah,
working with. They're alive, and we're co-creating with them, which is part of the quantum invitation of the new area. Pluto's right on the front edge and beyond. That's
yeah.
being just recently discovered in the new millennium. And it's changing the way astrology is being interpreted because there used to be like kind of very kind of predictive, and a lot of us, some astrologers still do that, and any astrologer that would be looking at the same new moon thing is going to say different things than I would. Some might be in harmony, and some might have depends on your philosophy and your belief system, how you're going to interpret and what
Mhm.
possibilities you're able to see or not. I'm a Sagittarian positive minded person. So I'm
Yeah.
looking for the best possibilities. I want the frequency to be as high as possible. So part of what I do is evoke that or call for that or try to see that
Mhm.
and be a catalyst for people to live up to that in their own cosmic blueprints.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're creating with the power
Mm,
of thought. So when you're finding the positives in there, sure, we're going to have some stuff to heal and to let go of and to see, and something that might be kind of gross, and we'll be like, okay, well, that happened. And just letting it go quickly, healing it quickly, and not getting stuck in things is really, what we're learning how to do. And humanity is starting to really shine right now. So,
mm,
anyway, this was great. So I had a lot of fun listening and kind of knowing what it means to me when you're talking about this thing or that thing in there, because the dragons are getting more and more prevalent. They've ascended. They're going to come into
mm,
human bodies. Like there's so many things that you were talking about that I've been tapping into for a little while. And I think
mm.
that we've been prepping for a lot of this stuff and now it's coming. So very cool. Thank you
Yeah,
so much,
yeah.
Kelley.
Oh,
Yeah, and
my
all Kelley's
pleasure.
stuff is going to be below. So if you want to have a reading with Kelley, definitely book it before she gets too busy.
I go in waves, you
Yeah,
know. Yeah,
yeah, it's very good though. So thank you so much.
a pleasure.
Yes. Bye, everybody.
Happy
Thank
new
you.
moon.
Yes, happy new moon.